The Origin and Destiny of God, Science Inadvertently Gives New Insights by James H. Birch. Conversation 2. Amazing discoveries about our universe lead to amazing insights about God. And first of all, the long-held belief in God. Aristotle and some other early philosophers believed the universe had no beginning. This let them off the hook for figuring out how it began. But even prior to that, in early human science philosophy, it had become a general belief that the universe did indeed have a beginning, and this turned out to be a very good argument for the existence of God, who was said to be the creator of it all. Some scientists and philosophers, as far back as we can go in recorded history, and even beyond that into cave drawings, have believed that the existence of the universe was proof for the existence of God. In the Middle Ages, Thomas Aquinas produced such a logical and lengthy argument in Summa Theologica for the existence of God through the evidence of creation that it used, and it is even today the basis upon which religious arguments for the existence of God are made. Long have we believed that the uniqueness of our universe's development gave proof of the existence of God. We came to an understanding only a relatively short time ago that if the Big Bang had been 1/1,000,000th of a second longer or shorter, or if it had been 1/1,000,000th of a degree hotter or colder, then carbon could not have formed and we would not be here today. The odds against that were literally billions to one, and yet it happened. Throughout the evolution of the universe, hundreds, if not thousands of times, the odds were just as great for a forward physical world leap required if the human race were to be like it is today, and those odds were overcome every time. This certainly seems like an intelligent designer pulling the strings for the creation of our universe. Lately, as we have dispelled more mysteries of the cosmos and revealed more wealth of knowledge about it, we have discovered that we had only scratched the surface in those beliefs. The odds, it seems, are almost unfathomably beyond even those earlier assumptions. Change almost anything in our natural order, even a little bit, and the conditions for life could disappear in a puff. At the quantum level of existence as we know it, the strength of what is called the strong nuclear force and the electromagnetic force are finely tuned, with even a minor deviation spelling disaster for us at every second. If the weak nuclear force in our universe had been infinitesimally weaker at the beginning, hydrogen would have turned to helium, and there would have been no stars of a nature like we needed for us to eventually come into existence. If that weak nuclear force had been even infinitesimally stronger, the exploding stars could not have spilled their elements needed for the development of life into the future planet we needed. If protons were even slightly heavier, they would have destabilized atoms, and that would have been the end of that story. Precision of quarks makes a difference to our existence. We require 4 space-time dimensions for our universe to exist, and we got them. Half the suns in the heavens are part of binary sun systems, 2 suns, and those cannot sustain a sufficiently stable orbit for planets to have temperatures to sustain life. They would all alternately be so hot as to broil us or so cold as to freeze us. Moreover, pure circular orbits by planets around a sun do not produce life. Elliptical orbits must have an eccentricity of only about 2% or less. Earth is close to 0, or it too will not sustain life. Here the odds are extremely long against this happening, but lucky for us, it happened for planet Earth. Another factor is that the mass of the sun and the mass of the planet must be precisely in range. There is a very narrow habitable zone around a sun, one where liquid water can exist, for example, considerably affected by sizes and masses. Here we're lucky too. The odds were against our little planet, but here we are. The fact that we have discovered hundreds of planets somewhat like ours, and can rationally envision many more of them, does not diminish the uniqueness of the probability that life potential is here, and we enjoy it now. But we're not finished yet with the discoveries of our uniqueness. This universe had to be just as it is for us to be alive today. Stars and galaxies had to form, and in such a way as to produce heavy elements such as carbon, which could percolate for a few billion years. Then the composition of those stars had to be set in such a way that the stars could explode, and explode in such a proper fashion that the elements necessary for eventual life could be spread out in the universe through space and reconstitute themselves in such a way as to become planets. Stephen Hawking and Leonard Mlodinow write in The Grand Design, "The emergence of the complex structures capable of supporting intelligent observers seems to be very fragile. The laws of nature form a system that is extremely fine-tuned, and very little in physical law can be altered without destroying the possibility of the development of life as we know it. Were it not for a series of startling coincidences in the precise details of physical law, it seems, humans and similar life forms would never have come into being." Every step in this amazingly complex formation had to be just right, or the whole process that produced us would have fallen apart. Everything, against all odds, worked perfectly. What else could it be but that all this points to a benevolent creator? Physicist Fred Hoyle in the 1950s wrote, "I do not believe that any scientist who examined the evidence would fail to draw the inference that the laws of nuclear physics have been deliberately designed with regard to the consequences they produced inside the stars." Voila! Even a famous scientist acknowledges the existence of God. All is well. But hold on a minute.